Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. This is your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, and today excited to bring you a solo episode. And we are going to talk about maybe the disenchantment of the evidence-based chiropractor and coaching, or are evidence-based chiropractors adverse to coaching, and some of the thoughts around that, questions, concerns, ideas, reasons, theories, evidence even. And so we're going to dive into that today. But before we do, I want to make note that we are in a 2-week window of launching the founders member for Thrive 2027. This is an MPI, FTCA, and MCM conference. We're hoping for 200 plus people there, but we've opened up a limited amount of spots of 45 that I think will sell out. And so far, so good. These are founder members. You get the early bird pricing, but you also get special perks such as front row seating. You get the MCM 30K course, a follow-up Zoom training. You get raffles for certain things like MPI seminar, clinical excellence channel, a raffle for MCM group coaching for 6 months. You get a free month of CSA that Bobby, maybe, and I work together on. And then you also will get to pick. We'll have 3 different receptions, cocktail receptions. It'll be an MCM one limited to 15 people, an FTCA one limited to 15 people, and an MPI one limited to 15 people. That'll be a cocktail reception after the fact, and you will be able to network with us and even further than you will in general. So we're going to be a lot of great opportunities. We got a lot of great speakers. We got a lineup of Mark King, Bobby Maybe, myself, Ashley Jordan, Brett Winchester, and Holly Tucker. This is designed for owners, associates, eager students, key team members, right? So the content will be very actionable and strategic. It's not going to be a potpourri of speakers, kind of random speakers. This is going to be around practice growth, essentially business, right? We're going to have leadership talk, and it's going to be broken down where, like say when Mark King speaks, it'll be 2/3 information and 1/3 heads down work together and really put this stuff into action. So we're going to have topics such as leadership in practice, ethical sales, the latest chiropractic marketing strategies, the patient experience and community outreach planning, the it factor in practice, and also financials. And so we're really diving in on this. You can go to bit.ly/Thrive 2027, bit.ly/Thrive 2027. You can also go to our MCM Modern Chiropractic Mastery Facebook group, and you'll see information in there. You can sign up. We've been sending out some emails. So this is limited to the first 45 for the founders early bird. There will be early bird pricing after that, but you will not get these perks that I mentioned today. So go ahead and check that out. That's going to be January 30th and 31st, 2027 in Atlanta, Georgia. We're making it super easy, direct flights to get to Atlanta, tram to get to the hotel, making it easy, making it actionable. Not a lot of pomp and circumstance, but there will be vendors, there will be networking opportunities, and we're excited to really collaborate an MPI, FTCA, and MCM event. And this will be annual. We're going to do this each year. We're kind of staking our flag on that weekend in January and in Atlanta each year. And we'll have different speakers and themes around practice growth each year. So check it out, bit.ly/Thrive 2027. All right. So let's dive into today's topic here. It's I got kind of like 7 subtopics within the topic of coaching and our evidence-based chiropractors coaching adverse. My first thought on it is what we call the coaching paradox, right? Evidence-based DCs pride themselves on clinical reasoning, but many avoid business coaching despite evidence showing mentorship accelerates growth. And we are going to go into some of the evidence of accelerating growth a little bit later. And so some of these doctors demand RCTs for treatment, but resist proven business systems, and it's ironic a little bit there. And I think some of that comes from the fact that a lot of evidence-based chiropractors are very good clinically and maybe hang their hat on all I need to do is be good clinically and business will take care of itself, or business is a dirty word, or if I'm business focused, I can't be patient centered. One of the things that I know that I've heard really, I thought it was just framed well, is that for a doctor to be good at business just means you're providing the ultimate inpatient experience. Now, there's a lot of layers to the patient experience. It's not just the clinical, right? It's team communication, it's business systems, it's financials are sound, so you're not stressed about that. It's knowing when you can get good equipment, knowing when you can expand office space, hire team members. There's a lot that goes into the ultimate patient experience, but if you focus on that, you're going to get better patient outcomes. And if you're really, really honed in and focused on the patient experience, you in turn need to learn and have business mentorship and business acumen. You just do. And you can be patient centered. You can be great clinically, and you also can continue to improve on the business side. So that's the coaching paradox. The next one is the I can figure it out myself trap, right? Um, it's kind of how the independent mindset that got you through Chiro school becomes a liability in business. A lot of you figured it out by yourself. You've figured out a lot of things on yourself. You're smart, you're capable, you're diligent, and you have figured a lot of things out yourself. But sometimes the cost of trial and error versus learning from someone who's already made the mistakes or done things well in certain things can really help you get out of that I can figure it myself out trap. Next is imposter syndrome and vulnerability. Definitely, I recently had a client mention that was, going through our practice audit and filling out the details of that and sharing with me really the details of the practice was a vulnerable moment for him. And he was nervous, but also excited to be able to have someone really from the outside in take a look at the practice and help with that. And so admitting you need help with business sometimes feels like admitting, like if you had clinical inadequacy, right? It'd be like that. Even though they're just different, completely different skills, right? No one's expecting, you graduate from chiropractic school, we go to 8 years of school. No one's necessarily expecting you to be a business person or business savvy, right? It's a completely different skill set. I mean, people typically, the conundrum we run into is we go to 8 years of school to become a chiropractor, whereas a lot of people go to 4, 5, 6 years of school to be a marketing specialist. People obviously get business degrees. There's communication degrees, and there's all these things that we need to hone our skills in that people go to 4 years or plus of school to gain that knowledge. And so it's no doubt it's hard, but you need to, get into that rhythm of learning business and being in a group to help that. And I know, I think one of the other things is the fear of being sold to or kind of judged by a coach, and that's that vulnerability. That's not a good coach when there's judging. That's for sure. So I can definitely understand the imposter syndrome and vulnerability aspect of that. Chiropractors, if your website traffic or Google Maps visibility has felt a little unpredictable lately, you're not imagining it. A lot is changing behind the scenes. AI is reshaping how search results show up. Competition in the map pack is getting tougher, and simply ranking well does not always translate into new patients. That's why Propel Marketing and Design is hosting a free chiropractic SEO workshop. You'll learn what's actually changing with Google Maps, how AI is impacting the way patients find and choose clinics, and what small, realistic updates you can make this year to stay visible and competitive. This is not a high-level talk or a bunch of jargon. It's a practical step-by-step workshop built for busy clinic owners who want clear direction and next steps they can actually implement. Save your spot for free at propelyourcompany.com/MCM SCO workshop 2026. And we'll see you there. Number 4 is bad coaching experiences in the industry, right? Traditional chiro coaching often pushes aggressive sales tactics and cookie cutter systems that really conflict with evidence-based values. And we're seeing that. It's fascinating. And I'm like, I am so for escaping the commoditization trap. And I'm so for you making good money and having a great value and hourly capacity that I've been talking about for years. I want that to increase and increase. But it's been fascinating over the last few years. We're seeing, traditionally the evidence-based chiropractors have really been turned off by the hard sales tactics of, 6-month care plans, year-long care plans, $6,000 packages of things and really having to do the hard sales tactics to overcome the product. I've talked about this before. There sometimes in practice there's a product market mismatch. Like the market, your community is not really looking for that in droves. And so it takes a hard sales tactic to force that wedge, right? Like to sell that 6-month care plan for $5,000 is not easy. I think first it's a product market mismatch. And then second, there's like a 5% or so amount of people that can actually do that well. And then you'll hear those people kind of shouting on the rooftops of how they are able to do that. But then you end up with a drove of followers trying to recreate that. And it's just hard. And they don't feel great about selling those 6-month care plans and or year-long care plans or the $6,000 packages. And so that's, I think, traditionally been something that's turned off a lot of evidence-based chiropractors. But then ironically, we now are seeing it kind of come to the evidence-based side where on the rehab side is selling, $5,000-$6,000 packages for 10 visits or 12 visits. And there's a small percentage of people can do that effectively. And then, what happens when you don't get the person better in 10 visits and they just spent $5,000? Like that's a tough pill to swallow for sure. And it's another example of it's kind of a product market mismatch, and you got to do really hard sales training and tactics to get that done. And that's just not for everybody. And only really a small percentage can do it effectively. But then you'll hear them, show or, talk about they can do that, and they can maybe, but a lot of people follow and have a hard time with that. And we're kind of seeing that in the industry a little bit right now, even in the evidence-based model. And I just think it should be more like frameworks versus forced protocols. That's why we've at MCM. And again, like I've had people on my podcast. I had James Spencer. I think he's amazing. He charges a lot. He's built up a really good reputation. He's in a very affluent area. He's a great chiropractor. He's over years has gotten even better. He's just built something special, and he's able to charge for that. My concern is when people try to charge for that, and they don't have the clinical chops or the expertise recognition in the community yet to command $400-$500 for a session. And so you gotta that sometimes can take time. And even in that podcast with James, he mentioned he didn't start at those rates. He worked himself up over time and kind of cured or curated his patient base there. And so, be careful. I know like there's just been a lot of bad coaching experiences in the past where you feel like you've been put in a box and it's forced protocols. And if you don't do it that way, you're going to fail. And it's the only way to do it. So I don't like that. I really like frameworks. That's why we developed the MCM doing it right framework. So we're not putting you in a box. It's more about, we teach you entrepreneurship. We teach you the financials. We teach you marketing. We really hone in on the patient experience. We help you build and train a great team, and then ultimately give you the practice systems that you desire. So be careful of the forced protocols, the hard sales tactics. I want you to get good at sales. I really want you to get good at ethical sales, but it's got to be a product market match to do it at scale, and for a large percentage of chiropractors to be able to do it and feel good about it. All right, number 5, the ROI skepticism. Quote, I can't afford coaching. Um, well, you can leave quite a bit of money on the table annually through inefficiency, right? And you just kind of need to reframe coaching as the highest ROI investment that you can make versus a lot of other expenses. And so I actually went to Perplexity, right? So using AI, Perplexity is a really good one, in particular for research. And so I asked it, like, what's the ROI? Do you have valid, this is my prompt. Do you have valid research on coaching ROI? Yes, here is the research-backed data on coaching ROI. And there's a bunch here, key statistics. Just read a few. Metrics Global Study, Fortune 500, a 7.88x return from executive coaching. So that's pretty fascinating. Another one here, ICF PwC Global Survey Companies, median 7x return on a coaching investment. Manchester Inc. study, Fortune 1000 executive, average 6x return on coaching investment. First time managers program had a big one there. Small business impact, 92% reported direct impact on business growth. 88% deemed coaching invaluable. 75% said value far exceeded investment. And there's just a lot to consider there. I know, sometimes numbers can be challenging, but when you look at a return on something, you do coaching for a year or a couple years or continuously, like I've been doing coaching since 2012. I've been with Strategic Coach since 2013. I've hired specific coaching, like I had a leadership coach for a couple years. I had financial coaching for 4 years, 5 years maybe. I had a public speaking coach for a year. So I always have my bread and butter coach. For me, it's Strategic Coach. And then I just inherently being, kind of leading MCM and having our group coaching calls and our one-on-one calls, I learn, having our mastermind group, I learn. So I have a lot of people around me, and I honestly just, couldn't achieve what I have without it. And what I've found fascinating with being in the mastermind in particular and being able to coach chiropractors is we've got a lot of high level docs in both our coaching program and our mastermind program, and they stick with it. They do the work. They implement things they know it's going to help out. They don't get left on an island. They are vulnerable sometimes on things when they need help. And it's just amazing. I've got so many examples of chiropractors that have joined us, put in the work, and have really taken off. I've had quite a bit on them on the podcast. There's quite a few that I just really am impressed with how good they are clinically, but yet in our mastermind group or doing our coaching program, a lot of them did our coaching program now in our high level mastermind group, and they've seen the ROI, but I want to give them the credit because from the outside in, those are the ones you think, oh, they don't really need coaching. They got it figured out. They got great businesses. Well, they'll be the first one to say they do, but they're also the first ones that take action. They don't sit on the sidelines. They don't procrastinate chronically. They actually put in the work and continue to get even better, because also the times always change, right? Like if you've been practicing for long enough, the environment of practice always changes and you need to keep up with that. And so the ROI is there. If the ROI is not there, it's because you're running into maybe a coaching program that is not aligned with your values, is trying to do forced protocols, or frankly, you're not implementing the strategies, right? Just for whatever reason, sometimes valid, sometimes not. But the ROI is statistically there, and I would challenge anybody on that if they don't think it is. Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years, and that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. When you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return, and we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment. And that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, they have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to keenestmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free Shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's keenestmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast. Number 6 is one of the things we got to be careful of with evidence-based chiropractors is they're often in isolation and echo chambers, right? They often practice in isolation without peer groups who understand their approach. And the compounding cost of not having a sounding board for decisions can be pretty substantial. I think that's one of the great things about our programs is you get out of your echo chambers in isolation and you get a lot of great ideas from us, from other chiropractors, and it really helps you grow and evolve your practice and sometimes take on really hard challenges. We've had quite a few clients, a lot of times like good challenges, like having to buy office real estate on a whim, having to navigate EHR changes, having to navigate insurance changes in particular states we're dealing with right now. And so having a sounding board to work through that can be very, very helpful. Our signature program, you have access to me through Voxer messaging as much as you need and to get back to you and help you out. We have one-on-one coaches that really get an intimate knowledge of your practice and help you grow. And so it's just been amazing for chiropractors that have put in the work. And then lastly, number 7 is the timing excuse. I'll get coaching when I'm more established. We have someone right now that hasn't even opened we've had quite a few over the years, but right now, just off the top of my mind, we had someone join and he hasn't opened up his practice yet, but he wanted to get a 6-month running start on it. And so he's getting after it, which is pretty cool. And so if you use that excuse of get more established, you might be stuck longer. And so we want to make sure you don't have that as well. And so sometimes the timing doesn't feel right. I remember when I joined Strategic Coach, it was 2013. I had just bought my office real estate, spent all the money I had on down payment, do all that. I had to move. And we had a massive EHR situation, and it was within that same 6-month period of time, I doled out the money for Strategic Coach, which you had to pay up front. And I think at the time it was $7,200. It's more than that now, fair amount more than that now, but I had to write that check. And I was believing kind of more in myself than anything. I knew Strategic Coach was good. But I also was believing in myself that the timing didn't seem perfect, but I needed it and I can make it happen. And I did it, and there was no looking back from there. So, whether you're struggling right now in practice or practice is going good, but you want to get even better, or you got a really big thing you want to tackle, like we talk a lot in our groups about opportunities and obstacles, and you need help with that. Check us out, modernchiropracticmastery.com. We've got a handful of different programs that are suited for you, and it's frameworks and coaching. It's not practice management and forced protocols. And we meet you where you are, give you a lot of ideas and guidance, but don't try to, put you in a box and do it our way or the highway. So I hope that helps. I hope there's some insights there on why coaching, whether it's with us or someone else, is beneficial for you. I highly recommend it if you want to take that next step in your career. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things, and we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.